started doing it. So we started the business in St. George, Utah with that mindset. And I was working like 70, 80 hours a week at my job. And, plus, and then started Primerica working one night a week. And for 9 months, I was part-time. I would work one night a week, and we made, we were making a couple grand a month. One month it'd be like $1,500, the next month it'd be $3,000, and I'd get excited and take the next month off, right? Some of you guys made that mistake too, right? And so that's what would happen. So for 9 months, but my 4th month of the business, we were doing 20 grand in production, 20, 30 recruits a month, our 4th month of the business. And so we started to have a little bit of success. And my 9th month in the business, I had a guy who was tearing it up, who really we saw as being our replacement. And so Brandon Neal came to me and said, "You need to quit your job." Well, I'm a security conscious guy, save a ton of money. When we make 40, 50 grand a month, we save 30 grand of it, and I save a ton of money because I'm a very security conscious guy. And so I was hesitant to quit my job, but I quit my job. Went full-time into Primerica. Our 13th month in the business, we qualified for RVP. But when we qualified for RVP, we lived in St. George, which was a small town, 60, 70,000 people in southern Utah. And we gave up 100% of our team and moved to Boise, Idaho. People say, "Why did you move to Boise?" Well, I was picking up Kelsey at the airport in St. George one day, and I met this guy at the airport and said, "What do you do?" And he goes, "I work for a company called Primerica. Have you ever heard of it?" I go, "No way, that's what I do," right? So you have all the leaders bulletins. So I go look up Idaho on the leaders bulletins, and 3 RVPs showed up. And I go, "There's nobody there." So we decided to get in a car, drive to Idaho with one of my guys. We drive up there, and we decided we're going to move there. And there was 250,000 people there. We thought it was the biggest city we'd ever seen. We came from a city of 60, 70,000. We had a 100 grand base shop. So we go to the city of 250,000. We're like, this place is ginormous, right? I don't know how many people were in LA. What, like 10 million? It's like 30 million people in Southern California, isn't there? Mm-hmm. Is that right?
Yeah, 40.
40 million.
No, reported.
Oh, reported, yeah. They pay taxes. Good point, right? So there's a ton of people. And so when we saw Boise of 250,000 people, we just thought this was a huge opportunity. So we moved up there. Like Kelsey told you, we had no money saved, lived in that little place, and we just started. I looked for an office. My goal was to get an office where I could fit 100 people in. That's all I cared about. And we just started talking to people. And I'm not going to lie, I wanted to quit every day because I didn't believe in myself. I still was not good at Primerica, and I moved 9 hours away from my coach. We didn't know anybody. It was just Kelsey and I. And Kelsey actually kept her job for 3 months because we used credit cards to buy everything, but the only thing we couldn't buy on credit cards or pay for credit cards was our office rent. So she kept her job so she could pay office rent, right, until my license came through. So we got our license for 4 months. And so we would pay office rent with her Best Buy check and then put everything else we could on credit cards. Well, after 3 months, they were like racked up. We racked up all the credit we could get. And so we were just going to work, and by 10 months in Boise, we made 14 grand our 10th month there. The 11th month, we made 24,000. And our 12th month there, we went over 100 grand, and we never made less. And, the next year in the business, we made 220,000. Our 3rd year in Boise, we made 465,000. Our 4th year in Boise, which was our 5th year in the business, we got financially independent. We had no debt. We had saved $800,000 in cash. And we were totally financially independent. We're making 40 grand a month. We didn't owe anybody a penny. And I'm not talking like, some people say, "Well, I don't have any debt either except for my mortgage." I go, "You know how stupid that is? That's like saying, well, I'm healthy, but I have cancer." If you have a mortgage, you have debt, And so we were financially independent at that point. And I'll tell you what happened. The reason why we moved to Vegas 3 years ago, we decided to move again and do it all over. I don't know why I keep putting myself through that pain, but we decided to, right? But I'll tell you why. We were driving through the neighborhood, and we knew eventually we were going to have a family, we were going to have kids. And I hate anything to do with average, right? Like, the reason I like to drive a Ferrari, because most people don't have Ferraris, so if everybody don't have it, I want it, I don't like average. It drives me nuts that it's okay for you to seek mediocrity. I think that's horrible. And so we're driving through our neighborhood, and I would always make fun of our neighbors because we were making 40 grand a month, but I'm a cheap sucker, so we lived in in LA, it's a freaking mansion, right? But where we were living, it was like, 3,000 square foot house. It was like 4 bedroom, 4 bath. This is like middle class neighborhood, And every weekend, all the neighbors would pack up their camper and go up into the mountains. Well, I grew up in a single wide trailer, so I basically camped for life. So I hate that shit like you can't. I tell my wife, if they're in a shower and white sheets, I am not going. And so I would make fun of them. I go, there they go to escape from the world into mediocrity, up into the mountains. And I just would make fun of them every weekend. Well, one day we're driving out of our neighborhood and I see all these little kids playing, right? And it's like a Friday and parents are all calling all the kids in. We're going to go camping, right? This is their enjoyment, to go camping. Well, now we're starting to have some success at this point. We're starting to travel to the Bahamas. And we're starting to go take like some real vacations, And I told her, we were driving, I go, I do not want my kids to grow up in an average, ordinary neighborhood. I do not want my kids to be friends with those kids, because those kids are going to tell my kids it's okay to be average. And so we started thinking about moving. And then we got audited by the IRS. And it's not a big deal if you're honest. And so we got audited by the IRS, and I asked the IRS lady, I go, hey, so if we were to live in a state with no state taxes, how much money would it have saved me last year? And she goes, like, calculations, 33 grand. I go, we're moving, right? 33 grand a year in taxes savings, I'm moving. So that was another reason we decided to move. The third reason is I hated the cold weather. And now we didn't have to live where it was cold, so I wanted to move where it was warm. So 3 years ago, we decided to move to Las Vegas. And good thing I know how to talk, right? But we decided to move to Las Vegas. And we moved there. And today we live a phenomenal life, But kind of what's happened to our business is we promoted 3 regional vice presidents, and since we've been there the last 3 years. So we've had some, great success, and we've got some exciting things happening. One of those RVPs that we were able to promote is Kelsey's mom, Karen. We've been able to promote another lady named Laura and another guy named Brandon. And so I know we've got another couple right here with us that we brought that'll be a near-term regional vice president as well that we're excited about. So that's kind of our story. And, tell you a little bit about our life. How much longer? I'm ruining all my slides.
Pulling your email, and it's taken a long time to do it, not 5 years.
Okay. But, I think, our life today, just tell you a little bit about our life, and how our life is. I think we saved a lot of money, and Kelsey, when she went down to Las Vegas actually to visit her little brother, because he was already living in Las Vegas, this is how awesome life is. Kelsey goes down to Vegas, and we hadn't really decided that we were going to move like soon, but she goes down to Vegas, and I've always wanted to live in a high-rise, because I would look up at the penthouse downtown and see the lights on at night, and I go, wonder who lives up there. And you guys ever did that? That was me. I wonder who lives up there. And I go, one day I want to live up there. I always see these shows about New York City, and the guy would valet his car, and he had like a butler, and the person at the front desk, and security, and all that kind of stuff, right? And I loved that crap. And so when we went to Vegas, I knew that in Vegas the economy had crashed, right? And the real estate market had crashed. Well, that's only bad if you owed money on your property. So for us, we had a ton of cash, and we knew in a high-rise that you couldn't buy them unless you had cash. Well, not a lot of people had enough cash to pay cash for a home. And so Kelsey was down in Vegas. She said, I'm going to go look at some penthouses while we're there, So I go, sounds good. Well, she finds the one she wants and puts down a $50,000 deposit and calls me and goes, I found it, right? And gave me 50 grand, So we got to pay the rest when closing. And, to think how awesome that is for her to be able to call me, and I go, sweet, I'm glad you found the one you like, And since then, I haven't parked my own car for 3 years. We got a valet guy, 24/7 valet. We got 24-hour-a-day security. We live like right on Las Vegas Boulevard. And some people think we're crazy, but again, it's not average. Not everybody does it, so I love it, right? And I ask people all the time that think we're crazy. I go, do you know how many people went to go visit that 3-mile stretch of road last year? 40 million. 40 million people spent money to go visit that road. I got to live there every day, right? There's more 5-star restaurants in that 3-mile strip than any other road on the planet. To me, there's not a better place to live. It's the entertainment capital of the world. You can never get bored, But the locals all hate the strip. You want to know why? Because they're broke, so they don't like the strip because it takes money, right, to have fun. But when you have money and you can live a lifestyle like that, I just think it's priceless and it's hard to explain. And so I wish I had a little bit. I can't even remember what my first slide. You need me? Oh, it's coming. All right. So, I'll tell you another good thing, right? Is I told you I'm cheap, and I always wanted a Rolex, and Kelsey for our 5th year anniversary, She does all this stuff, takes me out to this nice dinner and all this kind of stuff, and I open up the bag and I see this green box, right? And I'm like, oh my gosh, and right, she was so mad I knew what it was, because I know a freaking green box, right? And watches, you see green box, that's a good sign. And I was so jacked up, she was so mad, I knew what it was before I opened the box. But I was fired up. I'm too cheap to buy it myself. But I was so excited because I always wanted a Rolex. I always wanted to have a nice watch. When I was young, I would see all these guys who were rich, and they always had a Rolex, And for our 3rd-year anniversary, think about this. Kelsey got married. I'm lucky enough that she married me when she was 19, And 3 years later, she was 22 years old. For our 3rd-year anniversary, I took her down to the Cadillac dealership. The economy was struggling. GMC was struggling financially, so I figured we should help the economy. So we go down to the Cadillac dealership, and I literally just told her, just pick one. Whatever one you want, just pick one. To be able to do that, when she talks about your marriage and all that kind of stuff, the benefit of Primera, because we've never fought about money. We never have fought about money. And it's always, we wanted to make more. It's never a thought, can we afford something? It's, if we want something, we go make the money and get it. And I think that's priceless. As we're getting ready to have our first son, I keep telling Kelsey, I'm not going to just give my son everything, but at the same time, I'm not going to tell him we can't afford it. So I go, but I want him to have everything. Does that make sense? But I'm not going to give him everything. So I told him, I'm going to teach him when he's born and he wants something. I said, okay, great. How much does it cost? Great. Well, what price are you willing to pay to go get it? Right. Great. We set a goal. We pay the price, and he gets whatever it is. For me to be able to know, to teach my son that at a young age, I can't tell you how many millions and millions and millions of dollars he's going to make in his life, but also what kind of an impact he's going to have on the world. Because I believe the most selfish thing you can do in life is to be average and ordinary, is only make enough for you and your family. See, think about how selfish it is if you can only provide for your family. See, if everybody in this world could only provide for you and your family, there would be no such thing as like food stamps, right? There would be no such thing as police officers. See, the reason that happens is because we pay taxes, yes or no? See, what pisses me off more than anything is we get politicians on TV, and I don't care if you're Democrat or Republican, doesn't matter to me. I made a ton of money with both of them, so I could care less. They're all freaking liars, right? But here's what I know. That, I forgot the point I was going to make. I fired up in politics. What was I going to say, Gary? Oh yeah, here's what fires me up, right? You get politicians on TV and you have Democrats arguing, we should tax them more. You have Republicans, no, taxes are too high. And I go, you guys are all freaking stupid. You all understand it's a percentage. How about if everybody made more money, we would have plenty of taxes. So instead of arguing who's getting what piece of the pie, how about we get another freaking pie? Right. This is America, yes or no? Right. So understand, in this country, we have the opportunity to go get as much or as little as we want. So if you're broke, it's your own fault. If you're rich, it's your own fault. And I think we got to learn to take responsibility of that right now, not saying, woe is me, this is the hand I was dealt. Because that's what mediocrity does. That's what people who are just live by circumstances do. Does that make sense? Yeah. I don't think that's fair to do for you. I don't think that's fair to do for your children. And I damn sure don't think it's fair for you to do for your country. Right. And I don't know about you, but I love America. If you come to my office, it looks like the United Nations. I'm not kidding. We have 15 languages. Nobody speaks English barely, right? All different colors. And I love it. I meant to build it that way. And let me tell you why. Because I love working with immigrants. And here's why, because an immigrant risked their life to come to America. They put everything on the line. They left their family behind most of the time. They're scared to death to come to a new country, and they didn't come here to say, I'm going to get a regular, average, ordinary job. That's not why they came to America. They came here to do something big. They came here to provide a great life for their family, yes or no? And so I think you got to understand that you can't take it for granted. You can't say the American dream is not a middle-class job with a white picket fence. That is not the American dream. That's what the government told you should want. The American dream is own a business. It's like Mark Cuban, Mark Zuckerberg, the Google boys. Yeah. That's the American dream. Last week, I got a chance to spend time with this guy who, he owns a company. He's a multi-billionaire, right? He's a young guy. And I got a chance to spend, he's got a $30 million jet. He just built the largest houseboat in the United States. It's got his own helicopter pad, so he flies his jet down to Lake Powell, gets in his helicopter, flies to his houseboat. And he just bought a golf course because he tried to join, right? He owns a company, and he tried to join the country club. and the country club wouldn't let him in because the guy who owns the country club is his competition. So he goes and buys his own freaking golf course. See, that to me is the American dream, yes or no? Who told us that 50 grand a year, 60 grand a year, 70 grand a year is the American dream? You can't find it? Can you even just pull it up a little bit so I can take some notes off it? Oh, okay. Good thing I know how to talk, right? That's all right, I can do it. So, I think, so here's the way I look at it, and I wish I had some graphics, but I want you to understand this, and here's why Primerica, okay? Right now in the United States, we're all taught to become employees. We're all taught this thing called go to school, get good grades, get an education, get a good
job.
Get a good what?
Job.
So you guys were taught the same thing that I was taught. You were taught go to school, get good grades, get an education, get a good job. So we're all taught to become an employee. Well, did you know anything in the English language with EE on the end of it means you don't own it? For example, if you're a leasee, who owns it? The leaseor. So if you're an employee, who owns it? The employer. So I always ask people all the time, I said, think about this. If the President of the United States got on TV today and said, hey guys, the real estate market screwed this country up. So nobody can own real estate anymore. Send us the rent check. Who thinks it's causing a war? Guaranteed. I guarantee you it will cause a war. You want to know why? Because they think ownership is everything. Kelsey and I didn't buy a house until we can pay cash for it. So we're making 40 grand a month renting a house. And people say, if you're making all this money, why don't you buy a house? I go, you don't own your friggin' house anyway. They go, yes, I do. I go, no, miss a payment and the real owner will show up. You don't own your friggin' house. Right? So I never understood this. So I said, look, so why is it that every middle class person wants you to own a house and not rent a house, but they're okay with you renting your life away? Why is it that you're willing to invest 40 years of your life into something at the end of 40 years, you can't leave it to your children? You want to know why the rich get richer and the poor get poorer, which is a very true statement, by the way? It's not because of what you think it is. Here's why it is. Because broke people have jobs, and when they retire, their children start at zero. Rich people, when they die, they leave their children with hundreds of millions of dollars in net worth. Their kids don't start at zero. This is where the term old money came from. That's why they call it old money. But understand that if you're an employee, you're in 95% of the country does what you do. So you just think it's normal. Everybody thinks, well, it's just normal to be an employee. Well, they only own 5% of the nation's wealth. Did you know 95% of our country owns 5% of the nation's wealth? 95%. People say, why is that? Because their core value is security. Yes or no? You have these employees, they have employee mindset. They always ask you two questions. Is it secure? I need a secure job. I need a paycheck on the 1st and 15th, and do I have benefits? And I ask people all the time, I go, secure job? I go, so how many people you think that got laid off the last 5 years had a secure job? Everybody thought they had a secure job, but saying secure job is an oxymoron. It's like saying jumbo shrimp or plastic silverware. It doesn't make sense. There's no such thing as secure job. Right or wrong? But they go, well, I understand, Jeff, I shouldn't have a job, but do you have benefits? And I go, what do you mean benefits? Thank you. I go, what do you mean benefits? I go, think about this. Do you know how they catch monkeys in the jungle? And they go, what does monkeys in the jungle have to do with benefits? I go, you don't know how they catch monkeys in the jungle? They go, no. Oh, here's how they catch a monkey in the jungle. They get a tree, and they drill a hole in the tree. They bore the inside of the hole out, right? They put a piece of fruit in the tree. So the monkey's roaming through the jungle, smells the fruit, sticks his hand in the hole to grab the fruit, but now he can't get his hand out the hole. So he freaks out because he wants freedom, but he won't let go of the fruit. So the guy hears the monkey, throws a net around a monkey, and goes, got myself a monkey. The same thing your boss did to you with benefits, only it's not fruit, it's a benefit. You want freedom, but you won't let go. So they got you forever because you're not willing to let go of the benefit in order to get your freedom. So, with other guys, when somebody asks me that question, I say, look, what is benefits to you? And they go, well, I'm health insurance. I go, oh, you want health insurance? I go, our benefits are different. Our benefits are like 30, 40 grand a month. Our benefits are 5-star vacation, travel all over the world. Our benefits are do what you want, when you want, with who you want, right? Health insurance, I'll buy my own. It's only $1,000 a month, plus it's a write-off. Right? I mean, I just don't understand people's thinking. So then you have business owners, which is only 5% of our population. So when somebody told me, did you know that only 5% of our population owns a business? You know what I was thinking? Nobody does it, which means there's no competition. See, all the smart guys go to Harvard and Yale and USC and all these great colleges, yes or no? They all go to these colleges, and they're all super smart, and as soon as they graduate, they have job placement programs. Which means if you want to make big money as an employee, which some people do, you have to be amongst the smartest people on the planet. And I know I'm not the smartest guy in the world. I might have art beat, but not very many more people than that, right? But the fact of the matter is, I'm not that smart, and I'm the first to admit it. I butcher the English language. I'm horrible at it. I hate math. I hate school. So when they said only 5% does it, I said nobody does it. There's no competition. All the smart guys went and got jobs. But they own 95% of the nation's wealth. So I said, wait a minute, a small percentage of our country owns the majority of the wealth? You guys hear politicians talking about it all the time, right? And you go, why is that? Because their core value is freedom. They understood money isn't everything, but it does buy time. See, and time is everything in our lives. This is why I harp on my guys to be healthy. Because if you die soon, you don't have any more time, which means you can't spend time with your family. And so the thing about time is we're all given 24 hours in a day. So I ask people all the time, I say, would you guys agree right now in America there's somebody who works 40 hours a week and makes 50 grand a year? Would you agree with that statement? In fact, that's the majority of our country, right or wrong. But there's also somebody who works 40 hours a week and makes 100 grand a year. Would you guys agree with that statement? But there's also somebody who works 40 hours a week or less and makes 500 grand a year. Would you guys agree with that statement? So my question is, what makes the guy or girl who makes 500 grand a year with 40 hours a week different than the person who makes 50 grand a year with 40 hours a week? That was always my question. And you know what I found out is how they chose to make money was everything. You never meet an employee that makes 500 grand a year. So you got to choose to make income differently. And so in order to do that, I found out business owners leverage their time while employees trade their time. Right? So think about this. An employee trades their time. You got your buddies, they'll ask you, so what do you make an hour? I heard someone say $250 an hour today, right? And that's pretty good an hour, but that's not what I'm here for, is $250 an hour. I want $250 in an override, which means no hours. Because see, employees trade time while business owners leverage time. And this is a very important concept you must understand. See, employees will brag to you. They'll say, I got the job, $20, $30 an hour. So here's what happens. Here's what we're taught. Like Gary was saying, the parents teach their children to do this. Go to school, get good grades, get an education, get a good job. Go to school, get good grades, get an education, get a good job. And I ask people all the time, why are you doing that? Who told you to go to school, get good grades, get an education, get a good job? Who told you that? Who told you? Your parents. Who told your parents? Their parents. Who told their parents? Who told their parents? No, it wasn't their parents. It was John D. Rockefeller, Henry Ford, Andrew Kornegay, who got everybody to sell the farm and give everything up so they could go into the factory and say, we'll give you a pension. But now they can't leave the farm to their children. See, so understand that employees have been taught to trade time for 100 years, 200 years in the United States during the Industrial Revolution to grow this country. But there's a problem with it. You only have so many hours in a day, and if you can only make $20, $30 an hour, that means you're limited goals and limited dreams, yes or no? This is why when you hold the door open for somebody, they walk right through pissed off. Because they're mad. Because they have limited goals and limited dreams. So here's the way it works. Let's say little Gary was taught, I know he wasn't taught this, but let's say he was. Let's say he was taught, go to school, get good grades, get an education, get a good job. Gary hates college, so he decides I'm going to go into construction, right? Let's say I own a subcontracting company, I frame homes for a living. Let's say Art's the general contractor. Let's say Gary's my business partner, right? Art tells me, Jeff, I'll pay you $100 an hour to frame that house. Well, I'm the owner. Do I frame the house? No. I hire someone else. So Gary fills out an application. He puts all these nice words about himself on a sheet of paper, right? He puts his one and only suit that he owns on, comes into my office and says all these things, right? All these great things about him. I ask him, so Gary, what are your flaws? All these great things. He goes, Jeff, my only flaws, I have no flaws, right? So he's all jacked up, right? He joins the business, I recruit him into my construction company. I say, Gary, I'll tell you what, I'll give you $20 an hour. Gary gets $20 an hour, walks outside. Woo, Mom, I got $20 an hour. He doesn't know my last job, I only made 14. So Gary does the work. So I call Gary Sr. and go, Gary, guess what? Little Gary is willing to do the job for 20, but we get 100, so we'll keep the 80, and he does the work. So now I just did what? Leveraged my time, which is what your boss did to you. This is why you must learn to leverage your time and not trade your time. But people don't get this. I don't understand how people don't get this at a young age. I mean, I think that's why a lot of times young people rebel. Because they start realizing, hey, my parents are broke, and they did the same thing they're telling me to do. So, I want you to think about this, right? I want you to ask yourself a serious question. What are your goals and dreams? If you knew that every goal and dream you have would come true, how big would you dream? Would you dream bigger? I mean, honestly, here's what I see people do in the real world, and I definitely see them do it in Primerica. I see people in the real world, they get a job and they start making 40, 50 grand a year, 60 grand a year, and realize it doesn't cut it anymore, right? And so now what happens is they start shrinking their goals and dreams to fit their income, which, by the way, is psychologically happens so you don't go insane. So a lot of you have shrunk your goals and dreams. You stop believing that you should live in a $10 million home. You stop believing that you should have your own yacht. You stop believing that you should go on the greatest vacations on the planet. Right? Yes or no? Yeah. So if every goal and dream you have could be accomplished, who would you... Will you guys move forward to the slide at the top that says, what money, no issue? So who would you take care of? Like if you had unlimited money, if I gave everybody in this room $20 million today, if I was Oprah and said, hey guys, you're rich today, congratulations, y'all got it, right? What would you do with the money? Who would you support? Would you maybe help your family? Is there somebody in your family who has a medical issue that maybe you could give them some more money? Is there somebody in your family who's maybe struggling financially, you could help them? Is there maybe your spouse wants her dream car? Maybe you want to buy your dream home? I don't know, maybe, right? Where would you give money to? Would you give more money to your church? I tell people all the time, you can pray all you want, but that don't build new churches. You know, I just had lunch with my pastor 2 weeks ago. I told him, I said, look, pastor, people got to make more money, because if people make more money, they pay more tithing. People pay more tithing, we can build more churches. At the end of the day, you don't build churches on prayers, you build them with money. That's a fact. Now, look, I understand. I'm not trying to preach to y'all. We could go into preaching all day about how, obviously need to pray and all that kind of stuff, right? But that's not what I'm here for. I want to help you understand that the more money you make helps everybody. If you made more money, you could send your kids to better schools. If you donated more money, you could have better health care. I understand this health care bull crap is such a pile of it. Everybody's arguing about it. If there was more money to be had, if we paid more taxes because we made more money, then it wouldn't be an issue. Y'all understand that? Right. If most Americans made more money, health insurance is cheap. It's not expensive. Who told you $1,000 a month is expensive? That ain't expensive. That's cheap. It's only expensive if you make $3 grand a month. Right? So this clicker is not working. I don't know if it's just me or... Is that me clicking now? Yeah, so look at this. Here's what I understood. Here's a Great American Plan, right? The Great American Plan is this. If you can just click all the way through it, just keep it full at the end of the slide. We're all born, so give yourself a round of applause. You're born, right? That's exciting. Come on, you celebrate your birthday every year, don't you? Some people say, well, Jeff, I'm just not competitive. I go, yes, you are. You won that race against like 1 million people, right? So you're super competitive. And then, so we're born, 20 years of education, hopefully a little bit longer if you're going to be a doctor, a lawyer, something like that, right? But then you go get a job, 45 years of work, for 20 years to retire. Now, I'm not the brightest bulb in the box, but I can tell you giving 65 years of my life to get 20 does not add up to me. That is not basic math to me. Giving 65 to get 20 is not fair. I don't think it is. Would you guys agree with that? So even if it worked like that, it's freaking depressing. So I ask a question all the time. I say, look, let me ask you. If we're coming down here today, I said, hey, I got my buddy, let me his private jet, so we're all going to go to the Bahamas today. But there's one catch. The problem is, all the airplanes that have taken off at the airport today, 95% have crashed and burned. So now probably nobody's getting on the airplane. But what if I told you that 95% of the time that somebody gets a job, they do not make it out alive? Literally, they die at the job. Only 5% of our country today is retiring. Gary showed you at the very beginning of the meeting. See, they should have a disclosure, right, when you get a job, just like we have to do disclosures of financial services. The disclosure at a job should just say, hey, just so you know, there's a 95% chance you're going to die here. You would think differently about it, yes or no? You go to the next slide, please. Right? So I think here's the preferred plan. 20 years of education, because I think education is important, right? I think self-education is better than any kind of education a piece of paper says you have. There's nothing wrong if somebody gets a degree. I think it's good. It teaches you discipline, all that kind of stuff, right? I think there's nothing wrong with getting a degree. I think there's everything wrong with getting in debt to get a degree, okay? So, 5 to 10 years of work. Now, I'm not telling you less work. I'm telling you same 45 years scrunched into 5 or 10. Same 45 scrunched into 5 or 10. Now, look, if you're going to scrunch 45 years of work into 5 or 10 years, you're going to have to work some longer days, some nights, some weekends, some holidays. This is what I never understood. Like, people think we're crazy for our wedding day. I go, let me ask you, during the NBA Finals, if LeBron James' son was graduating school, and they go, but you don't understand, this is my first son's graduation. Where's he going to be? At the finals or at the graduation? But you want LeBron James' money, but when it comes to Primerica where you could make it, you'd rather go to the graduation. Well, Jeff, you don't understand. No, I don't understand how in one breath you could say you want LeBron James' money, but in the next breath you could say, well, but I'm not going to the meeting. I think some of y'all might be Lakers fans. You might get him next year, right? We'll see. But then you get 55 years to do what I want, when I want, with whom I want. Who's in for that plan? See, only a few of you. Okay, I'll tell you. Here's what I say. If you give me 55 years of freedom, I'll work 28 hours a day, 380 days a year. There ain't nobody that outwork me. You give me freedom. That's all I need is freedom. Just give me freedom. Go to the next slide, please. So, what is our crusade? I think you got to understand a few things, and I think I actually took out this. We've skipped this. I think this is the first one I say. So, yeah, right here. Go back one. So this is the car I drove when I joined Primerica. And I know it's a piece of junk. A lot of you guys go, that looks like my car, But that's the car I drove. It was a 1994 Toyota Camry. It had 230,000 miles on it the day I bought it. The day I bought it. The paint was so faded I never washed it because it didn't look any different. The windshield wipers did not work. So in the desert, when it rains, it pours. Like we get flash floods all the time, right? We grew up in the desert. And so when my wife and I first started dating, I'd be driving through the neighborhood doing like 60 miles an hour. And she'd be freaking out going, Jeff, it's so dangerous, right? You're going to hit somebody. I go, no. Because at 60, the rain moves off your windshield. But anything slower, it stays there. So it's more dangerous if I can't. So guess what my mom did? She went to school. She got good grades. She got an education. She got a good job. In fact, at first, she got her associate's degree. And then they told her, well, you go back to school, you can make more money. So now here we are living in that piece of shit, right? So we're living there. They told my mom to go back to school. So my mom was at work during the day. At night she would go to school, so we never saw my mom. But what they didn't tell my mom is once she was done with school, she would have student loans that were due. And so now any raise that she got would be eaten up by her student loans. And the day we joined Primerica, she still had those student loans. I didn't even get to live in the trailer. I had to live in one of those campers that go on the back of a truck, right? They have the stilts. And my mom put the camper back here on this porch. I used to run up these stairs, run across and hop in the camper. I lived there for years. You imagine living in a camper right now with no air conditioning, 115 degrees outside, trying to sleep in that at night. People go, why are you so motivated? How do you stay focused? I go, how do you not? Right. I don't understand that. I don't understand that thinking. Then I met Brandon Neal, who was on stage. He said he made $20,000 his first year, $100,000 his second. I told him, I said, Brandon, you teach me how to make $100,000 with your freedom, I'm in. And he goes, Jeff, it got better. It made 183, 228, went over $1 million a year at 29 years old. Today he's free. I make fun of him all the time, tell him he's retired, But the fact of the matter is, he lives a dream life. So what happened, I kind of talked about it already, that Kelsey and I got started. We made $15,000 our first year, $115,000 our second. And, today we're financially independent. I was trying to decide, how do you explain to somebody what financially independent feels like? And I figured it out just the other night. I've never been able to edify the feeling of financial independence. Most people always say, if you knew how good it felt, it's 100 times better. I go, well, I still don't know how it feels, so I don't know what 100 times better is from not knowing how it feels. But I figured it out the other day. I said, when you're like 13, 14 years old, and you have not a care in the world. You don't have rent due. You don't have a car payment due. You don't have to worry about gas money. You don't have to worry about where food's going to come from. You don't have to worry about none of that. You're young and you don't really have a concept of money. For some of you, might have been a little bit younger, maybe 10, 11, 12. And you don't have a care in the world. Why? Because the parents pay for it all. You're going to eat. You're going to have a roof over your head. All that kind of stuff, right? Even though they didn't know, but you didn't know, right? You had no idea the concept of money. And I said, being financially independent is just like that, but living your dream life, but not having to worry about rent, not having to worry about a car payment, not having to worry about how much food costs. There's a lot of times Kelsey and I will go to a 5-star steakhouse. We go to the nicest restaurants in Las Vegas. We'll get done with dinner. I pay for it. She leaves. She goes, how much was it? I go, I don't know. Didn't check. I mean, a lot of times when you see MP on the menu, market price, you go, I ain't ordering that one. Who knows, right? Or they go, would you like to hear the specials tonight? No, I know that crap's expensive. I just ordered chicken. I mean, I want to order what I want to eat. Does that make sense? So we go to the next slide, please. So this was our last month's paycheck. I don't know if you can see that, but that's 42 grand. That's pretty good. That's a little over 10 grand a week. Go to the next one, please. We've been able to do some great things, floor seats at basketball games. Go to the next one. This is the building we live in. Go to the next one, please. This is our view. I mean, is that not a phenomenal view? People go, why would you want to live on the strip? That's why. That's a whole lot better view than a single wide trailer and seeing other single wide trailers. The only view we had was once in a while see some drunk dude riding a bicycle up the road holding a 40 or something. You laugh at him when he falls over. That was like our view when I was young. That's a lot better view. We still get that, by the way, in Las Vegas. It's just better from 27 stories up. This is my wife's 3rd-year anniversary gift. Keep going. This is the watch she got me. I already told you guys, keep going. Ring. I was a boxer for 7 years. Mayweather is my favorite fighter. He's still undefeated, by the way. So everybody can keep talking crap, but he's undefeated. And he's the highest paid athlete in the world. But, this is one of my heroes, Muhammad Ali. Actually, Gary was with me at this fight, right? Go to the next one. This is another Mayweather fight. There's my wife holding ringside tickets. And it's funny because that night they were going for 18 grand a pop. Can you believe that crap? I'd never pay that, but they were going for that. And I lost one. But thank goodness I took the picture, right? And then I knew somebody who got me the tickets, which was Floyd's CEO, and so they let us in still, even though I lost the tickets. So that was pretty good. I go, look, I had it, I promise. Here's the picture, But that was a good fight. He won again. Keep going. I love the Bahamas. If there was heaven on earth, it's in the Bahamas. And I love that. There's not a place that I'd rather be. And not too long ago, we just went to the Bahamas, and I Googled the most relaxing place on the planet. And Eleuthera in the Bahamas popped up, which I don't know if you guys know Lenny Kravitz, that's where he's from. And small little island. And so I just Googled the best place to stay on Eleuthera, and it popped up this villa. And so we rented this villa on an island. We were there for 7 days. We saw 2 people in 7 days. And I had that picture up top in my op meeting, and some lady accused me of downloading it off the internet. So I had to put one of my wife and I on that same beach, I go, you can't download that, sucker, right? But it's beautiful. I mean, to be able to do it, think about this. I mean, to be able to go on a trip like that, not having to worry about a budget, not having to worry about anything. We just got back from Tulum, which is in southern Mexico. We went down to go see Chichen Itza. I had a guy at my base shop, actually. Mexico makes me nervous, especially when you're there, And I'm white, and so I'm in Tulum, and I asked the guy, Chichen Itza is 2 hours through the jungle. And the guy we were with goes, dude, it's on my bucket list to go see Chichen Itza. I'm going, dude, you understand we're in Mexico and that's 2 hours through the jungle? And he's like, yeah, but it's on my bucket list. I go, all right. So we asked the guy who owns the hotel, he goes, is it safe? He goes, well, it's okay as long as you have a specific driver. It just depends on who's driving you, So I go, can we use your driver, right? So we rent that dude's driver for the day, go out to Chichen Itza, see all the ruins. I mean, to be able to do crap like that is priceless, in my opinion. And I can't wait till we have our son. Instead of studying about Egypt, we just go to Egypt. I think that's better. Yes or no? Go to the next one, please. I was telling you, this is all my uplines, actually. You can see Brandon Neal on the far right, on your right, then Chris Howard, Brendan Merton, myself, and then Steve Stonebreaker. Actually, Steve's not my upline, but the other guys are. And click to the next one. This dude actually just bought this jet from Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie. Go to the next one. So as Chris and I were excited to be on the jet, But they bought it from Brad Pitt and Angelina, so I didn't dare to sit on the couch. That's See, I believe you have 2 choices today. And if you click through, you have the pain of change or the pain of regret. And at the end of the day, these are always the 2 choices you have. In anything you do in life, you have the 2 choices, the pain of change and the pain of regret. Look, the pain of change hurts, I promise you. It's going to be uncomfortable. The pain of change is going to hurt. I tell everybody all the time, think about this. If we go do squats today, you're going to wake up tomorrow and be sore, yes or no? It's going to hurt. You're going to wake up and you're going to walk up the stairs in your house and you go, I hate stairs. My dream house is going to be 1 story for sure, right? and your legs just hurt so bad. But see, that's God's way of telling you, keep doing that, it's good for you. See, if you're not sore, you're not getting better. Or you can have the pain of regret. Look, when Brandon Neal recruited me, Brandon Neal put me under a guy named Nicholas Nelson. Nicholas Nelson was 21 years old at the time. Nick quit. Today makes $14 an hour doing concrete. I'm 70% of Brandon Neal's organization. That's just like winning a $40, $50 million lottery. See, Nick Nelson flushed a $50 million Powerball ticket down the drain when he decided to quit. And I think that you've got to understand that you're going to make those choices every day, the pain of change and the pain of regret. Look, winning isn't easy, and you shouldn't expect it to be. If it was easy, everybody would do it. It'd be called mediocrity. I love that it's tough. In fact, I wish it was tougher so they'd pay us more money. I don't wait for it to be easier. I don't say, man, I wish it was easier. I wish it was better. No, screw that. I want it to be, make it tougher so less people do it, so there's more money to send to us. That's the way champions think. They don't say, hey, how can we make it easier for guys to make it into the NBA? They don't say, hey, let's make the NFL draft easier. Do they? No, they say, if you want to play in the NFL, if you want to play in the NBA, you better be better than the guys we got. Go to the next one, please. Look, Mark Twain said, I can help anyone get what they want. In life, the problem is I can't find anybody who knows what they want. My question to you is, what do you want? I don't know what you want. In fact, every person in this room has different goals and dreams. If you say, well, I thought you were going to talk to me about how to do Primerica. I am talking to you about how to do Primerica because learning what to say, when to say it, and how to say it is easy. I can teach a 5-year-old kid to do that. The hardest part is figuring out how to get this thing right. You got to know what it is that you want. What do you want out of life? I'll tell you, I wanted to be a millionaire. I was sick and tired of living in a single wide trailer, living on food stamps. Everybody making fun of me. Having all my new clothes coming from the friggin', they weren't even new, they were coming from the DI. Hand-me-downs. I was sick of that. I knew that somebody was succeeding. They made Ferraris for someone. You know, after we got off that guy's jet, I went to go see how much it was worth. And you know what I found out? There's thousands of them for sale. Thousands. $30 million a pop. And they're making new ones. The guy told me he's getting ready to buy a G6. And he goes, dude, they're on waiting list. They're sold out for 18 months. That's a $65 million jet sold out for 18 months. So many people want it. There's that many people that want a 30, 40, 50, $60 million jet. Why are you worried about a $50,000 a year job? See, you got to figure out what you want if you're going to go get it. See, I asked you earlier that if your dreams would come true, no matter what, how big would you dream? It would be different. You wouldn't wake up every day going, I don't know if I want to talk to this person. You know, I'm not an outgoing guy. I don't like to talk to people I don't know. You want to know why I do it? Because I want to win. I want to provide for my family. Go to the next slide, please. You know, I always ask the question. In fact, hold on. So there's a quote by Ralph Waldo Emerson. He says, what lies behind us and what lies before us is tiny compared to what lies within us. See, I don't believe God creates junk. I believe the problem is you go to your job, you talk to all these other average and ordinary people. They talk about it. You talk to broke people about how to become successful, and you wonder why you end up broke. But let me tell you something. A rich guy at the country club doesn't go to Wendy's asking the burger flipper how to make money. It should be the guy flipping burgers asking the guy at the country club, yes or no? But the guy at Wendy's should not be asking his coworkers at Wendy's how to get to the country club. If he knew how, he'd be there. See, that offends some people. To me, that's just smart. That's common sense. Look, I don't think you need to be book smart to win in America. In fact, I think people that are book smart have a disadvantage. I really do. I think if you have common enough sense to say, you know what, I don't need to be the smartest. I just need to outwork that dude. Because this is capitalism. Capitalism says if you produce more, you get more. See, but at the end of the day, God's definition of success is one of significance. Look, I don't care how much money you make or don't make. That's irrelevant to me. Because you know what I found out? They're never going to shovel that crap in behind you. You'll never see a U-Haul follow a hearse. But like Gary was saying earlier, Mother Teresa was worth $500 million. See, at the end of the day, how much significance is your job going to produce for you? If you end up at a job, you know, someone earlier asked that question. I can't remember if it was R or who it was. They said, when you're going to get that job, ask them, how much were they willing to pay you for you to give up your goals and dreams? See, I just never understood. See, I wanted to do something significant. Look, one of these days you're going to be dead. They're going to be putting you in a pine box 6 feet deep. And the question is, how long before they stop bringing pies? How long before they stop talking about you? That's why you're scared to die, because you know you haven't made an impact on the world yet. See, when you made an impact and you leave it all out on the line, you ain't scared, because you know I gave it everything I had. They'll remember me. I made my mark. You don't need to change the world. You just need to make your friggin' mark. Go to the next slide, please. My question is, why not you? Can y'all say, why not me?
Why not me?
Oh, you want to win? Say, why not me?
Why not me?
So that was my question. When I saw Brandon Neal, who's 5 foot nothing, 130 pounds on stage, I said, if they'll send that dude 50, 60, 70, 80 grand a month, they for sure got to send it to me.
That's right.
I never looked at somebody and said they're that much better than me. I just said, if they can do it, so can I, which is how you should be thinking too. Look, I know there's a bunch of stuff in life we can't control, but there's a ton of stuff we can control. You know what fires me up so much? Because I always hear that, especially these times, it's crazy when you watch TV, right? You watch the news. This is why my wife and I don't watch it. Because, you know, we were at an airport, it was actually a while ago when the North Korea stuff was happening. This dude next to me at the airport's freaking out. Oh my gosh, North Korea, the president is such an idiot, right? Which I never understood crap like that. People that talk crap on the president, I go, he's the president. You didn't become the president. So if you got an issue with it, shut up or go become the president. I mean, that's how I think. And so he's complaining, and I go, look, dude, unless you're going to put on boots and load your gun, shut up and go do something about it. How about you make some more money so you can pay some more taxes so we can get a better military? So we can pay more soldiers. Because y'all understand, if we got more money, we can pay more soldiers. You know, they're laying soldiers off right now. They're shrinking our military. But that's because people are worried about stupid stuff they can't control. You know what you can control is winning and being the instigator of greatness for your family. See, I was the first kid in my family to graduate high school. I didn't have a roadmap for success. I knew it was up to me. I knew if I didn't retire my mom, nobody was going to. That was a big deal to me. I was going to say, you know, it's like sometimes I'll sit down with parents, I'll do their F&A, and I'll say, would you like to pay for your kids' college? And they'll go, no, I had to pay for my own. I go, you know what that's like? That's like stubbing your toe and kicking your kid in the shin and go, how'd it feel? It hurts, don't it? How stupid is that? Because you struggled, you want your kids to struggle? See, look, you've got to make the change. I know deep down inside you want to be somebody, you want to make a difference and do something that matters. But at the end of the day, as you leave here tonight or today, there's going to be two questions that you're going to, or two statements you're going to make in 5 years from now. You're either going to say, man, I'm glad I did it, or I wish I would have. And the question is, which one will you be? See, I look back 5 years from now and go, so glad I did it. I'm so glad I did it. So many people try to talk us out of it. People that I respected, they told me I was nuts. They told me I was crazy. I should go to college. I should get a job. All this kind of thing. They told me I was crazy. And we struggled a lot of times. But I'm so glad I did it. See, I believe our family needs us, but I believe our country needs us. And at the moment of need, we rise up and take a stand. You know, I was a boxer for 7 years, and my trainer used to always tell me. He'd put me in the ring with these big dudes. And I'm not going to lie, I was scared sometimes, but I was not allowed to say no to get in the ring. If I didn't want to get in the ring, I was not allowed to say no, otherwise I wouldn't train you. So you say no, I'm done. You don't say no, I'm your coach. You do what I tell you to do. So a lot of times I was scared. And he said, Jeff, let me tell you something. I don't care if you get hit and get knocked down. What I do care about is that you get back up. All I care about is you stand up. When you're doubting yourself, you stand up. When you're hesitant, you stand up. That's all he cared about. And see, I think the problem in our country today, especially in the younger generation, is people are worried about my Xbox pause. It's hot in here. I'm thirsty. I need to go to the bathroom. But your mom's going to work till she dies. You're going to work till you die. Someone's living their dream while you're not. See, our country needs us to provide a great example for our youth, for our community, for everybody around us. We got to become the greatest country on the planet again. Because we're not right now. That's up to our generation. This is why I'm fanatical about recruiting young people and teaching them, look, work ethic beats everybody. You don't need to be smart like everybody tells you you do. You just got to outwork them. Look, freedom isn't free. You got to fight for it. You know, I tell people all the time, these soldiers, you know, in our office, we got a lot of soldiers, a lot of police officers, a lot of firefighters. We got a lot of service people that sacrifice their lives for our country. And I respect it more than anything because I love America. And I tell them, look, I tell people that come into our office, I say, I want you to know something right here and now. That because you live in America doesn't give you the right for freedom. Those soldiers that risk their lives are not dying to give you anything. That's not what it says in our Constitution. That's not what it says in the Bill of Rights. It says you get the opportunity to fight for your freedom. Not that you just get it. So don't think we live in a free country. There's a price you pay for freedom. If you don't pay the price, you just get a job. My last slide, if you'll click over, is will you be the one that delivers for your family? You know, my question to you is, if you don't do it, who will? Who will? Nobody. Founder of our company always said, look, people like us, we ain't going to win the lottery. Gold rush has already been done. Oil well ain't going to happen. So if you don't do it, nobody's going to. You know, I'll have some people sit down and say, oh, my kid is my lottery ticket. You know what I think? I can't imagine that I would tell my son that he's my lottery ticket. You know what I'm going to tell my son? Let me show you how to change the world. Let me show you how to do something big. Let me show you how to change your life. Let me show you how to achieve your goals and dreams. I'm going to show you. I'm not going to tell you that you can go change. I'm going to show you. Because that's what leadership is about. If you don't do it here, where are you going to do it? Look, maybe you got another shot to make 30 grand a month, but I don't think that's the truth. You wouldn't come today. Here's what I know. If you had $5 million saved, your house was paid off, your cars were paid off, you were living your dream life, you wouldn't come today. I know that. I got buddies in the business. I got a good friend, Hector Mark. He's totally financially independent, stone cold wealthy. He makes 400 grand a month. He don't come to no meetings. You want to know why? Because he don't have to. Look, if you had another shot, you would be there right now. And if you don't do it now, when are you going to do it? Some people say, well, Jeff, you don't understand. I got 4 kids and 3 jobs and all this kind. I'm working all these hours. You don't understand. I don't have the time. I go, you're right. I don't understand how you could use all those excuses instead of using them as reasons to win. How can you go look your child in the eye and say, because of you, I didn't win? I don't understand how you can. How can you look your spouse in the eyes? How can you look yourself in the mirror and say, I had all these excuses and that's why I didn't provide for our family? Look, just squeaking by ain't providing. This is America. You're supposed to do something big. You're supposed to make a lot of money. You're supposed to live your dream life. You're supposed to give a lot of money. You're supposed to help a lot of people. That's what you're supposed to do. Why? Because you're in America. So if you don't do it now, when are you going to do it? Look, you got to make the decision when you leave today. I'm going to end with this. Here's what I find out a lot of people do. They leave a meeting like now, and maybe it takes a lot of mental energy sometimes, yes or no? And they leave, and they go run errands. Or they go take a nap, or they mow their lawn, or they go to the grocery store, or some bull crap like that. That's what a loser does. What a winner does is they leave here, and they say, you know what, we ain't taking a break for nothing. I'm going to meet at the office. I'm going to go to work. I'm going to be doing kitchen tables. I'm going to be doing interviews. I'm going to be making phone calls. While everybody else is resting, while everybody else is relaxing, trying to process all the information, we're going to be using it. We're going to be rallying the troops. Look, I've seen what you guys are capable of. And there's more of you that are better. I know Art and Juana's base shop is tearing it up and number one in the company. Look, it pisses me off too. I want to beat them just like you do. But there's a lot of you that have more talent that I've seen. And I challenge you to leave here today and go use it. Because you influence other people. Look, we got the opportunity of a lifetime. There's never been a better time, and a better country, and a better company. And right now, right here, with your hierarchy, with your leadership. I hope you decide to use that. I want to thank you for having me. Have a great day.